So after Christmas, I took down my decorations, then I went to the store and I got an organizer and calendar and got myself ready for 2022. I also shot this video that's a follow-up on my cabinets.
So much like my bed video, after doing my cabinet video, there was one thing I didn't really film really well at the time, but I still want to do a little video about, and that is how I mounted these cabinets in the first place. I showed me putting them together. They were basically out of the box cabinets, so anybody who's ever bought anything from IKEA or Walmart or Target or Home Depot or whatever, where you just took it out the box, followed the directions and put it together, can pretty much put these cabinets together. But the thing is, these cabinets are attached inside of a moving vehicle, so there was a question of how did I secure them to the walls. Now first you have to understand that my walls are panels. They are not individual pieces of wood. Now what people usually use is furring strips. Furring strips are like thin pieces of wood that you would mount your walls to when you were installing them. And if you knew where your cabinets were going to be, you add extra furring strips to mount those cabinets on when you attach them to the wall. I did not do this. So my wall panels, like I said, are actually, it's 3 panels, separate panels of wood siding that you would put on the side of the house. And then what I did was I attached that wood directly to the beams of the box truck. My box truck has little metal beams that come out. I put insulation in between that, and I attached the walls directly to those beams or ribs or whatever you want to call them. And that made, honestly, these walls really, really secure. Also, the wood is pretty thick. The walls are about a 1/2 inch thick, so I basically have 1/2 inch thick wood attached directly to the beams of the box truck with insulation in between those two things. And that provided me a pretty stable wall on both sides of the box truck, left and right. This wall over here is a different story, and that's going to be a whole other video. But the left and right of the box truck have pretty secure walls where I can pretty much screw into it anywhere. Now let's take a look in the cabinets, starting with this one and then that one, and talk a little bit more about how I have them attached.
3, 2, 1. Welcome to Love Machine.
So now that we have an empty cabinet, let's chat about what's going on here. Also know that I added some extra wood glue to places where it wasn't explicitly required by the instructions to add wood glue, just to secure it some more. But anyway, the primary thing I added here were the 2 metal brackets on the left and the right. I was basically securing the top of the cabinet as if it were a shelf, and just doing that from the inside of the top area of the cabinet. So these metal brackets did not come with it. I actually bought those from Home Depot. The cabinet has a thick piece of wood in the back that helps to attach the left and right wall and provide some balance there, and also give you something else to attach the standard little piece of cardboard backing to it. In this, there are 3 holes that are attached directly to the wall behind it. The top is adapting the same concept to add some extra security. Basically, there's 2 screws in the middle of the piece of wood at the top that are going into the wall behind it. And then on the brackets, there's a screw not only going through the bracket that's also attached to the roof or the ceiling, I don't know, of the cabinet, or the L part that's facing the wall. There's a screw that's going through the bracket, through that piece of wood, and then attaching itself to the wall. Also worth noting, I bought these fasteners thinking they would help keep the cabinet closed. They pretty much do nothing and were kind of a waste of time. Now let's put this cabinet back together and look at the little one. This cabinet was so much smaller and lighter than the other one by comparison, and I knew nothing really heavy was going to be in it. Honestly, mounting it was pretty simple. There is a braced piece of wood on the back of this cabinet, as well as the cardboard backing, which has all that information on it. This is a bathroom medicine cabinet, by the way. And basically, there's just 2 holes through this piece of wood attached by 2 screws that go straight through that wood into the wall wood. Because of Mickey's shelf here, I actually can't open the door on this side all the way, but honestly it hasn't been a problem and hasn't actually impeded me storing or using anything in the cabinet. Also, the cabinets are intentionally low enough to be a part of Mickey's cat run around the truck.
Hi Mickey, how are you? Do you like being able to go across your shelves? I love waking up and just seeing you on a random shelf. Yes, I do.
Now, the other thing that I discussed in my cabinets video was the bar stool that I bought so that I could reach the level of Mickey's lounging on it right now, the level of my table right here, which I do use as a stand-up desk, but I also like the idea that if I got sick of standing up, I could sit down. And in order to do that, I needed a chair that was going to reach that height. So I needed a bar stool height stool, not a counter stool height stool, and I found one in Target. Now the biggest problem with this chair is what it was built, much like these cabinets, to go into a house that does not move. And so screws were coming loose from it all the time. It fell over all the time. Even when I laid it down, it rolled over all over the floor while I was driving. It just wasn't the best solution for something that was on the road. That's why a lot of times when people have seating in their vans and box trucks and such, is either things they can pack away or things that are attached to the vehicle. Now that just wasn't going to work in my situation. I do sit on the fridge occasionally, but it is a little bit lower and not as convenient to reach the proper height to use this table as a table. And so I prefer having that mobile stool that I can just move around. But I got sick of tightening the screws. I got sick of it falling over while I was driving and generally possibly being a moving hazard while the vehicle was mobile. And so I started looking into something else, and I found some fancy chairs that could fold up that kind of match that style. What I did like about that and don't like about my new chair, which I'm about to show you, is that my new chair is a camping chair and the old chair was a stool. But I did find a tall camping chair, which is over here in this corner, that I can use. Now it does come in a bag and I can take it outside and use it as a camping chair outside as well. And I may actually get rid of my regular size camping chair and only have this just to reduce my belongings and things in the box truck. I did just wash dishes, so I got a lot of dishes over here right now. But also what I added over here so that I didn't have that falling down problem was a strap with a bungee cord on it. So when I'm driving, what I do is I bring the chair over here and I strap it in. And the good thing about that is it's strapped in and it kind of stays there. It just keeps it from falling over and rolling around the way the old bar stool did. I went ahead and donated the bar stool. I no longer own it, and I just have this guy right here. It does take up more space when it's open, but because it can fold up and be put out of the way or sat in a corner or whatever, I can get it out of my way much easier. There were times when I was exercising in here and I was trying to figure out somewhere to put the bar stool so it wasn't in my way. It's much easier to do it with this because it more compactly folds up and can get out of my way. Which was the whole concept of this box truck. It's like how to leave as much space free in the middle here for exercising as possible. That was always my biggest goal with the box truck. So yeah, when I'm ready to use it, it's really simple. I just unhook it like this, then we open her up. And she's pretty comfy. Actually, I forgot a step. Let's close it back up again. There's a little footstool right here that you guys cannot see because my body's blocking it. And that's what you want to put down first. And then boom. Ta-da! And so that's all I got for you on the further detailed video. Just in case anybody was curious about how I actually mounted the cabinets, if I bought additional hardware to do it, you know, where I mounted it, I wanted to give that information. I had to make a judgment call because I wasn't honestly sure what would work, what would be enough, if I was doing enough. And I have had the test of like being on some really bumpy roads and some really questionable situations. And honestly, neither of these cabinets have moved. They've both held. My biggest issue was trying to play with how to keep the doors closed and remembering to keep the doors closed. Because when I do not latch that door, and I drive off, stuff does fall out and has fallen out. Things have fallen out of the cabinet and broken. Even though I try to avoid having glass in here, sometimes I end up with things that are in glass or mugs or something that's extremely fragile. And so I try to avoid that, try to avoid having fragile things so that if the cabinet does open, I won't have a problem. I will say one time I bought some pickles. The refrigerator was full and they hadn't been opened yet, so they were still able to be stored, you know, on a shelf. And of course, that was one of those days I forgot to latch the cabinet and I ended up with pickle juice all over the floor. So that was a thing. But otherwise, like, they've held. As far as like the actual mounting that I use to attach it to the wall, and the fact that the walls are pretty much attached directly into the metal ribs of the box truck has seemed to work out without me using furring strips or having specific mounting places for the cabinets ahead of time. All right, that's all I got. Mickey, do you want to say bye? Mickey boy. Mickey boy, yes, I love you too. I love you too. Are you going to say bye-bye? No, you're just going to cuddle into my hand? All right. See you guys.
Thank you for joining me for yet another video, my second, I believe, in 2022. What's funny is this is wrapping up stuff that I had prepped to get edited in 2021, and it just rolled over to 2022. My road trip right now is really boring, so these are much more exciting videos to roll out there for you guys. So as always, thank you for watching my videos. If you can, please take a second to hit that thumbs up button and leave a comment, as these are very important things to do to please the YouTube algorithm. Otherwise, I will see you in the next video. Thank you as always to my supporters on Patreon and YouTube memberships.